Let's talk about what everybody wants, money. But before we do that, we must first talk about what everybody has. So what do we know about what we truly have? What is it that is really ours? What are the things that are most valuable to us that are in our possession? And I would argue from a philosophical standpoint, these are your time and your energy. And these two things, they are a gift to you and they are yours to do what you will with them. And I know that you're probably saying, okay, Joel, I understand time is money. I've heard that before. And yes, but more precisely, true money stores your energy and your time. And anything else that doesn't fulfill that statement is not true money. And I will make my case throughout the video for this. Does this make sense? So we trade our time and our energy for currency at our job every time we clock in and we clock out. And let me tell you, for most of us, our job probably drains us out of those two things, our time and our energy. So then, can anything be money? But what is money? So you're probably thinking, okay, money is what I use to buy things. But what are its properties? If we think and dig a little deeper regarding the properties of money, then we can come to a realization of what it is that we're actually using currently in this system. And that'll make a little bit more sense here in a few minutes. So let's consult my two most favorite financial advisors, Rhett and Link.
Good mythical morning.
What is this worth to you, Link?
I'd say $20, Rhett.
And why is that worth to you, $20?
Because it says 20 on it.
And why does that matter to you? Why is it valuable to you?
Because the person I give it to get the thing I want also agrees that it's what I'm getting from them is worth $20.
That's currency. That's currency. Class dismissed.
Exactly, yes, class dismissed. I want to go ahead and expand a little bit more on what Rhett and Link are trying to say here. And I think that you should stick towards the end of the video because these guys are going to come back and finish their thoughts. And I think that you'll find their thoughts very, very valuable. Now, let's think about the origins of trade. If you have something that I want and I have something that you want, then we can make a trade. Now, I'll make content for you and you can trade that content for a thumbs up or a click on that subscribe button. Before societies had thumbs ups and bells that you can click to notify you every time that we have new content coming out, they used to trade their time and their energy by capturing things like fish, or herding livestock, or growing wheat and cotton, and trading it with one another. So we can already tell that these societies would use their resources as mediums of exchange, an important property of money, but more on that later. So we have fisherman Fabio here, and he says to Palm Tree Patrick, hey, I have 2 fishes, I will trade you it for 5 coconuts. And Patrick says, oh, that sounds like a fair trade. But man, those fishes, they're going to begin to smell kind of funky and putrid after a few days. Do you have something that is a little bit more durable? Got it? Hey, says Fabio, I think I have a llama. I'll go ahead and trade it for 50 coconuts. Llamas usually last you 20 years. They're a little bit more durable than those fishes. And Patrick says to Fabio, hey, that sounds like a great deal. But the problem is I only have 5 coconuts and a portion of your llama, it doesn't do me much good. Do you have something that I can divide? Then Fabio says, hey, I think I have a solution for that. I have a barrel of oil. How many ounces of oil for 5 coconuts? And Patrick would probably say, that actually could work. But if I put on my thinking caps a little bit more, oh, that'll probably be a little less than a barrel of oil for 5 coconuts. I can't put that much on my camel. That's too heavy. Do you have something that is a little bit more portable? Should I keep going with these examples? You get the point, right? So there are intrinsic properties of money that we've attributed throughout the ages. So what do we know about what true money is? First of all, it serves as a medium of exchange, and we've talked about how societies have discovered true money to have properties of durability, divisibility, portability, and many civilizations around the globe, they begin to recognize how precious metals would suffice and satisfy these properties. And you see, they begin to use nuggets of gold and silver of all kinds of sizes, odd sizes, different purities, and these nuggets were perfect because they could store value. You got it? Meaning that it would take time and energy to dig these out of the ground, therefore storing a person's energy and time. And this was valuable because it's so rare and they're so pretty to look at, and you can tell there's simply intrinsic value in these metals. We kind of know that deep down in our psyche. This made trade possible, but a bit difficult because you would have to carry around a scale everywhere you went. And it took a few more degrees of specifications to arrive at the ultimate true and perfect type of money. And in order for trade to be fully successful, money had to be something called, ready? Fungible. That means interchangeable. In other words, this money needed to be able to replace and be replaced by identical items. And people began to realize, hey, what if we had uniform pieces of gold and silver? It would make trade so much easier if we could go a step further and stamp some units of accounts or some numbers, depending on its weight, on these coins. And historians, they usually attribute Lydium, which is in modern-day Turkey, for using gold first as a currency back in 643 before Christ. But it was not until the new type of currency made its way over to Greece, the true market society, that it exploded in use. And I love to use this quote by Maloney, one of my favorites. He says, "Suddenly money found its natural home, the free market." Very poetic, Mike. I very much love that. Hey, so as a bonus, we'll throw the face of the guy in charge. You know, he'll appreciate the free advertisement. It'll make him famous throughout the land, or at least, you know, I imagine that's the way it happened. But we probably all know that it was the guys in charge made that decree to put their faces on the coins. So let's think about the dollar bill in your pocket. This piece of paper is more precisely considered a Federal Reserve note, and it is printed and distributed by the Federal Reserve Bank. More on this in later videos. And on it says, this note is legal tender for the use of all debts, public and private. So we use this obviously to buy things. We use it to pay off debt. It's a medium of exchange. It has numbers on it, so it is a unit of account. It's portable. It comfortably fits in your pocket, sure. It's somewhat durable. We'll give it a passing grade. It's divisible in that we can make change. You know, a $20 bill is the same as 4 $5 bills or $21 bills. Pretty easy to do. It's fungible in that we mutually exchange $1 and we end up exactly where we started. Your dollar buys exactly what my dollar buys. And these dollars have a store of value, meaning that you can go right now, take your dollar and exchange it for a chicken nugget. And in 20 years, you'll be able to buy the same. Oh, this just in, it looks like, sadly, the US dollar does not hold its value anymore. Oh, awkward. So come, let me show you something real quick. Thanks to Ian Webster for such an incredible resource at officialdata.org. Oh God, charts, no! Oh! No, listen. It's not that bad. Besides, you'll find extreme value in what I'm about to show you. Ready? This is the buying power of the US dollar over time from 1800 all the way to 2020. So we have here from left to right, starting at 1800 all the way to 2020. From bottom to top, we start off at $0 all the way up to $1.80. So we began right at the beginning of the 19th century with a value of $1, meaning that $1 buys you $1 worth of goods and that day. The value of $1 is our basis for this entire graph. Make sense? So then we move forward and then have a little surge, but come crashing down to needing $1 to purchase 70 cents worth of goods in 1814, excuse me. We climb up the coaster all the way up to $1 purchasing $1.70 worth of goods. Wow, impressive. But then a bit of instability is felt, and then we eventually come crashing down back, but not quite, to around the same levels that we see in 1814. Same story here for the next 30 years, reaching levels just shy of 50% increase in purchasing power. But then again, a bit of instability is felt, and we go back down in 1919 to even lower levels, and this one really did us in. We could not really recover up from here, even meet the designated value of the printed dollar. And so we hit bottom, or so we thought, by 1945. But then something very interesting happened. You see the data? You see that? It smooths out. Let me get on frame here. I'm too excited for this. So the data, it smooths out and remains stable, but on a continuously downward trend. Nothing can stop it now. It looks like it. Well, things have changed for sure. So let's dissect this, shall we? I will highlight the following in gray. Follow me real quick here. War of 1812, loss of power. Not electrical power. I'm talking purchasing power of the dollar here. Woodrow Wilson becomes president in 1913. World War I begins in 1914 and doesn't end until 1919. You see that? Loss of power. The Great Depression starts in 1920 and it lasts for most of the 1930s. Something interesting here, Japan starts causing trouble in the Pacific in 1931 by invading Manchuria, and then Italy invades and conquers and annexes Ethiopia in 1936. So there's instability there already. Then World War II is really stamped into initiality. Is that a word? Adolf Hitler invading Poland in 1939, and the war doesn't end until 1945. You see the correlation here? All is well, though. We defeated evil, but then an important marker on the data, 1950. I want to let you figure out what happens in 1950 that caused this data to start behaving significantly different. So feel free to leave your findings in the comments below. I am looking forward to reading those. But hold on a second, I'm not done. Do you think that it's always been the case that we've had this monetary system? Do you think it's always been the case that we've had to borrow money so that we can get a good job, so that we can pay our 401k, so that we can retire with dignity? Let me burst your bubble. It hasn't always been this way. What did I do with my slide? I was about to hit you with the point. It hasn't always been this way. This is more or less an experiment. Does that make you feel uncomfortable? It should. So let us go back in time and plot these different monetary systems on this chart as follows. Follow me here very quickly. From the very beginning, our founding fathers, they took pen to paper and they delineated how our monetary system would and should function. You would be surprised to see this, as I was. U.S. Constitution of 1787, Article 1, Section 8. This is the power given to Congress to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide the common defense and general welfare of the states. I think we all know that. Number 5, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and a foreign coin, and fix the standards of weights and measures. Weights and measures, what are they talking about? Well, let's scroll a little bit further. Section 10. No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt. Very clearly, our founding fathers warned us against making anything other than these two, which have been proven to be real money, and use them as our currency. So we're on the classical gold standard since the beginning. Say what? Yes. What the heck is a gold standard, you might be asking? Well, I'm glad you asked. Back in the day, our paper currency was simply regarded as a promissory note, or as a claim check, if you will, that said, hey, you can take me to the bank and you can trade me in for the gold that the bank is so kindly holding there for you. So this insignificant piece of paper had 8 beautiful words in it that said, payable to the bearer on demand in gold coin. Whoo! Doesn't that make you feel tingly? It was the gold that you could exchange for it that gave confidence to this piece of paper in the marketplace. That was the gold standard. So we were on the classical gold standard from the beginning all the way to 1914, where our currency was 100% backed by gold. And it wasn't until 1914 that we moved from the classical gold standard to the gold exchange standard, where only 40% of our currency was actually backed up by gold. Look up the Gold Reserve Act of 1933. This is actually where we severed the tie domestically to gold completely. A lot of people in the industry understand 1971 to be the day that we severed all ties to gold internationally, yes, but domestically we had done it about 40 years prior to that. Now, after World War II, the U.S. had accumulated 2/3 of all of the world's monetary gold. And this was simply not a viable system. So we moved to the Bretton Woods system after World War II. The dollar became the world reserve currency, and every currency in the world, with the exception of few, were tagged to the dollar. And the dollar was tagged to gold at $35 per ounce. But there was no reserve ratio explained or established, and so we kept printing. As the USA, we fooled everyone thinking that we had every dollar backed up by gold at $35 per ounce. And so people in the community, more specifically Charles de Gaulle, the 18th president of France, he called our bluff and he said, hey, I don't think you have all the gold to back up all of these dollars that you're sending around the world. So here are your dollars back. We want our gold back. So he's the one that started what essentially became a run to the bank, where the US was the world's bank and everybody wanted their gold for their US dollars. So Nixon took us off of the Bretton Woods system, completely severing all ties to gold. And in one fell swoop, he turned all the currencies in the world into fiat currencies, with the dollar as the world's reserve currency, backed up by absolutely nothing. Utter madness. I don't know what I would have done if I were in that day and knew what I know now. So that's awkward. I guess this federal note is clearly not what your ancestors would consider money. It's clearly something else. But what is it? It is my humble opinion that this is nothing more than what we call a fiat currency. Fiat being the Latin word for it shall be. More on this by Investopedia.
Fiat money is any legal currency that is not backed by a physical commodity, nor does the material it is made of have significant value. The currency's stated value exists because of government decree, hence the name fiat, which comes from Latin and means it shall be. A currency that is fiat money maintains its value from the stability of the government and economy it belongs to, and through intelligent management of money supply by a central bank.
Intelligent management of the money supply by a central bank. There you have it, guys.
Virtually all paper currencies in the world today are fiat money, along with most coin currencies. However, in previous centuries, most currencies were representative currencies, meaning they were backed by gold or silver. With representative currencies, each unit of currency represented an equal amount of gold or silver held by the central government. A government could theoretically only create as much currency as it had gold or silver in its vaults. In those days, a person could take currency such as $1 to a bank and demand $1's worth of gold in exchange. This is called convertibility. Though fiat money has been used periodically around the world since roughly the year 1000, it didn't become the norm until 1971, when U.S. President Nixon declared that the U.S. dollar was no longer convertible into gold. Because fiat money cannot be redeemed for gold, it risks losing value due to inflation. Inflation happens when a government produces too much paper currency and its value drops quickly.
So let's welcome back our good friends Rhett and Link to the show to finish off their thoughts.
Class dismissed. No, okay. All right. So
I'm a current dude.
You may know that we went off the gold standard at some point in the United States of America, meaning that a dollar does not represent some actual gold somewhere.
Fort Knox.
Now it is just the government says this is worth $20. Okay, and enough people agree, and it becomes worth something, and other governments agree. You get it. Now, Cryptocurrency. You probably heard lots about Bitcoin. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. You got to invest in Bitcoin if you want to get rich. Like Harvard, you hear about Harvey? He bought a Bitcoin and now he's a millionaire. That's what I heard back home when I was in North Carolina over Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, Bitcoin's this, Bitcoin's that. And so I'm like, well, what is this stuff? I hear that in the news. It's called cryptocurrency.
Let's recap exactly what we've talked about so far. What is yours to give? Your time and your energy. Can anything be money? Yes, if enough people trust it. What is true money, though? It is a medium of exchange, a unit of account. It is portable, durable, divisible, fungible, store of value. Is the dollar true money? No. It's a fiat currency, and this current system is an experiment. I'm glad I was able to pull back the curtain for you there. I want to thank you for watching. Please be kind to one another, and please protect your wealth with information.